Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Appreciate your support. If you are enjoying the content and you haven't done so, please considering smashing that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. They all help tremendously. I really do appreciate it. Hope you're having a fantastic day. So we have a bit of a real serious issue with this one. Thankfully, it ended, I was going to say well, but maybe I should say as best as we could hope. As you can see here, a Texas man charged with stalking Fever star Caitlin Clarn. Court docs say Michael Thomas Lewis traveled from Texas to Indy to be close to Clark, sent her sexually violent messages through X, and continued to do so after law enforcement was alerted. This is disturbing on a lot of levels. As you can see, Texas man drove to Indianapolis after sending Caitlin Clarn violent messages, was messaging her once he got there, been driving around your house 3 times a day, he messaged her, disturbingly, I should add, but don't call the law just yet. Michael Thomas Lewis charged with 1 count of stalking, threatening sexual battery, or death, which is a level 5 felony, was just arrested on Sunday. Thankfully, this is someone they had their eye on before he left Texas for Indy. They traced his most recent messages to discover he was in Indy and that his presence in Indianapolis was especially concerning due to the nature of his messages and Lewis being a Texas resident, saying his messages were sexually violent in nature, also spoke about coming to Indy, which obviously he did. I'm getting tickets, he said in one message. I'm sitting behind the bench. Court documents revealed that police spoke to Clark, so this was something I think it doesn't make it completely clear, but I would assume that she went to them first. She told officers she'd become fearful since receiving the messages and even altered her appearance while in public. She became very concerned for her safety. It takes a lot of courage for women to come forward in these cases, which is why many don't, said Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears. In doing so, the victim is setting an example for all women who deserve to live and work in Indy without the threat of sexual violence. Of course, when they confronted him, he downplayed his messages, saying they were, just the reason everybody makes same reason everybody makes posts. It was his imagination, a fantasy type thing, a joke, and on and on. He can face up to 6 years in prison. I'd like to point out also, they tracked the messages from IP addresses belonging to a hotel roughly a mile from where the Fever play. Absolutely disturbing. I don't know if the thing about the house is true or not. That would be disturbing that he knew where her house was. One thing I want to go back to, we scroll down here, is wild. Let's go to this one. Come on. Come on. Why is that not working? So I'm going to full screen this for you so you can see. But this is apparently the X account. Shout out John Root for finding this from this guy. And it just sort of scrolls through. But if before I even play, you can see some of these things. And you can see how quickly, you want to listen to some Sunday AM music with me. Let's start with Everything to Me by Avalon. You want to get a coffee in the morning at Monumental. You probably think making out is gross. CJ Stroud loves me more than you do. You are the biggest deal to me. You are much more than a basketball player. Are you allowed to call me? Why don't you call me? Love John Harbaugh, love Mike Tomlin. Can you guess my favorite college coach of all time? This is what happens when you put God number one. Just ask Caitlin. A whole new world. I mean, this is wild. My dig is your dig. Timeline was friendly today. I assume that one is that supposed to be you mad at me? Are we in love? Would you hit me? You are super smart. I love you so. If I could any girl, I would choose you. I mean, this is wild, guys. And it goes on and on. Look, we're not even halfway through the scroll. We're not even halfway through the scroll. You're kind of sexy, rock me. Oh my goodness. I missed you so much I can hardly stand it. I don't know how you could miss her. You've never met her. That tells you something about his mindset. And on and on and on and on. We've got like 20 more seconds of this scrolling. This is absolutely wild. I would lie down on the Audubon to save you. Cry me. Wow. I didn't look at these before I did this video, y'all. So I'm seeing these the same time you are. So I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at the situation. It's disturbing, but wow. Good night, Clarky. I will post you tomorrow. What the heck is happening? Caitlin Clark, I love you so much. Jail me? Well, guess what? Guess what? I think you're going to get that wish. I'm going to sell cherry slushes on the corner of Illinois and Ohio. What is happening? Okay, so that's finally that. So there you get an idea of the disturbingness of this. And again, thankfully it ended well. I want to bring up a couple of things. And I know some people are going to get upset that I bring that into this, but in light of the WNBA all season long and everything they said about the Caitlin Clark fans and would use trolls like Dejanay Carrington using Dr. Oliver Phillip Holes. You can figure that one out if you haven't heard me say it before. And using a troll account like that to smear all the Clark fan base and how awful and, ist they are. And Angel Reese playing victim on her podcast about the death threat she received and the AI images that she was sent. And as I've said before, just use any search engine, take safe search off, put in any celebrity, and you're going to find those types of images. By the way, they were done long before AI. People would do them with Photoshop. And I will contrast that with this because what I've said at the time, and I know all of you know this, you've probably said it as well. You know, with everything that surrounded this past year, that Caitlin Clark was getting a whole lot of nasty messages, a whole lot of threats herself, a whole lot of this nonsense. And she never went out in public and smeared, you know, Harrington's fan base or Reese's fan base or Asia Wilson's fan base, although we know actual friends of theirs have said absolutely horrific things. She didn't go out and smear the media of people that called her, a man or equated her to a school, what. Um, but you knew she was getting them. You knew she like legitimately getting them. And as we can see here, she handled it the way a grown up should handle it. Behind the scenes, she contacted the cops because it was serious enough. And which is to my other point. If it is that serious and it is legit, that is what you do. You don't go out to the public for victimhood and clout and to smear an entire fan base. Because make clear, if legitimate threats are what Angel Reese or anyone else, WNBA or not, just anyone is getting, I want them to get the authorities involved and get it taken care of and have it ended the way this ended instead of having someone actually get hurt. Let me be very, very clear about that. What I am upset with here is that they're using trolls to smear an entire fan base. They're making allegations without proof to smear a fan base. Whereas if it were serious like this, they should be going to the authorities and not talking about it in public. By the way, speaking of, and this was part of the reason they did it, multiple times Caitlin Clark would be asked about these online trolls, getting her to try and throw her own fan base under the bus. Did anyone in the media have the brain power to think about maybe asking Caitlin Clark if she was okay, asking Caitlin Clark if there were issues she was dealing with regard to, well, I won't even say trolls because we know this guy isn't a troll, No, she would never be asked that. It was always she was always asked to smear her own fan base and feel sorry for these players who are playing victim, while she, in fact, is dealing with real stuff behind the scenes that would have her afraid to go out in public. Absolutely, absolutely wild. I'm going to leave it there, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Really do appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will talk to you later.